Hey guys, my name is Marcel Ernie, Canadian superbike racer, and here we have the 2015 BMW. Special thanks to a particular fan who donated to help get this bike, to make this happen, and I'm super happy about the bike, and we're gonna go do a video review, so you're finally gonna see what the 2015 BMW is like from a racer's perspective. I know there's a lot of YouTube video reviews, but they're all just street riders, and they can only give their perspective, you know, so nobody really knows what this bike can do. This is going to be a real test, and once I get on the racetrack, it's going to be obviously the best test. Alright, I better warm her up. So right now it's cold, and this has got standard suspension. Well, we've just been riding along the beautiful lake view here, and I just want to give an overview of the 2015 BMW. Number one, the most important significance change for 2015 is the frame. The frame allows the bike to steer much quicker, easier. It's just less counter steer. It's really excellent upgrade, and so that's the most important thing, is the new frame makes this bike feel like a race bike, even though it has all the weight on it. Because right now it weighs like 450 pounds, but it feels like a 400-pound bike once it's in race trim. And so once I get the forged wheels and get it race trim, it's probably going to be a lot better than the previous generation. Number two is the transmission. It just shifts gears much more smoothly. It's really like stronger. It takes a little more effort maybe to move it, but it engages much smoother. There's no misshifts. I'm not getting any false neutrals like I have in the past. And of course the quick shifter on the, it's GP right now. You can reverse it from left to right to quote regular or GP. It's much quicker. It goes whap whap through the gears, and then of course the auto blip and downshifting is a great feature. So number one, we have the improvement of the frame. Number two is the transmission and quick shifter. Number three is the electronics. They're much better. I'm actually using traction control on the street, with a nice pace for a racer, and it's working excellent. Once I get to the racetrack, it might be a little more limiting for a pro racer, but any track day guy, any novice, amateur, or amateur expert racer is going to be great with the stock ECU. And the ABS is working great as well, much better than the previous generation where it was kind of useless. And then number four is the power. It feels great. I think the bike's got excellent power. I won't know exactly until we get on the dyno. It's really refined. The launch control is fun. The pit limiter is fun. The cruise control is fun. Just an excellent bike, and everyone should have one. All right, let's keep going. Sound, remember? Sounds cool. Later on, we're going to test out the launch control. It's got launch control. So we'll do that when we get down the road more. But yeah, the quick shifter, it's awesome. pretty warm out today. All right, let's mosey down the road. Let's test the bike. Hey guys, all right, so we just put the bike through a couple paces. You know, like I said before, I really like the quick shifter. Let me stop my music, hold on a second. I got these custom modes in my ears. Woo! Gotta love that shoe berth. Oh, well, anyways, like I said. So, I've been testing the traction control, and it's pretty usable. It's certainly usable for anybody on the street. I started at 0. It goes +7, -7, and so right now I made it -1 after a little bit of riding, and it feels pretty good. Like, it's hooking up, street tires working well. Let's talk about the chassis and the frame. So it's a new frame for 2015, and it is definitely an improvement. Just for that reason alone, it's worth for a racer like me to step up to the 2015. I'm able to just, even with these stock, I call them steel, but they're just the cast aluminum wheels, which are much heavier than the forged that you get optionally. The bike feels like the 2014 on forged wheels, even though it's on cast wheels, because of the frame difference. So as soon as we get our forged wheels on there, it's going to be even better for steering, more like a 600, less weight. It feels good. I'm really happy with the frame. Definitely an improvement. And right now the bike is in street trim, so it's got heavy body work, it's got the pegs, the heavy exhaust, but it actually feels like my race bike. It really feels like it's light like the race bike, even though I got the lightweight, you know, Shirai battery and all that stuff on the race machine, titanium exhaust. It feels very similar, so it's good, it's good. Okay, so obviously I'm running stock, shock, and forked internals right now. I'm not running the DDC suspension. I didn't want that because I want to throw my race suspension on here when I get it ready for racing. But the stock suspension, non-DDC, just your straight up normal stuff, it works really well. I mean, the bike, I could go racing with this suspension. It wouldn't be ideal, but I could certainly get away with a weekend, you know, if I had to. For any street rider, there's really no reason that you need the DDC, in my opinion. From just riding this, it just works awesome. It's consistent, so it's good stock stuff. Yeah, it'll work. It'll get you through your day, no problem. Oh yeah. Can't even let the front up. Amazing. Amazing. Now let's see what happens as soon as I hit the pavement. Super All right, so we've done a good half-hour riding now, and I had more time to kind of study and use the electronics, the traction control specifically. It's really good. The usability of it on the street in slick mode or user mode, which is designed for race tires, works really well. Even though the manual says like don't use slick mode in the street, but forget that fact. But I was at -2 on the traction control. It goes +7, -7, and I feel it interfere when I'm having wheel slip, you know, but it's smooth. It's not like the previous generation where it's like off and then on again, and off. So before I'd be like whoa, whoa, whoa when I'm trying to come out of the corner. So I turn traction control off because I want to be like wah, like a smooth drift, right? So Obviously I can't test that drift right now on the street safely, but just a little bit of wheel spin, at least it's not intrusive or like on and off. It's definitely more progressive. So I'm really happy with traction control. Really, everyone should have this bike. It's such a great bike. It's so great for the street, and hopefully it's going to be awesome on the racetrack. I know it's going to be better than my 2013 and 12. Hans, Franz, and Arnold. And this is Neo, by the way. We have the official name as Neo. And yeah, I think it's got good potential. I think we're going to get some good results with this bike compared to the old one. Alright guys, we're testing out the launch control again in the middle of nowhere in my buddy's private driveway. Let's get a helmet down. Okay, so you start the bike. And now you hold down the starter button, pit lane, and then launch control. It's all clutch. Okay, so I just tested out the launch control, and you know, the first shot here, check it out. You know, I left the line really well. It's all about clutch manipulation. You still have to use that clutch like you're launching it normally, like with, you know, a no launch control. It's all about releasing that clutch slowly, and the slower you go, the faster the bike goes. It's kind of interesting. And then the second time, check it out now. And so I just launched normally. That was a normal launch for me with traction control on, which means the 2015, they've finally got the computer sorted out that you can launch with traction control on, and the bike won't be like ga 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 off the line. So which one would I use in a race? I think I'd probably use the launch control just because it's fun and it's new and it's exciting. But, and probably is a good consistent thing, you know, and you're not going to screw it up too bad when you could screw up your normal launch. So that's a win-win for BMW. So you come to a stop, you pull the clutch in, you hold the start button down for like 6 seconds, and then boom, it pops up like Elcon. And then it says like 1, 2, 3, so it pretty much tells you like, if you do it too much, it'll say 0 and it won't work because it's trying to like, it's like a safety not to burn your clutch up. But, so I gave it the first try, and what you do is you hold the clutch in, put that down, put it in the mode, and then you give full throttle, and the thing will go to 9,000 RPM, ding, 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 ding. And then all you have to do is let the clutch out and maintain full throttle. And what it does is it cuts down the torque and possibly the power output. It wants to keep the front wheel on the ground or just slightly off the ground. And it disengages once you shift into third gear, I read in the manual. But I don't know, I seem to just hit the next gear and it just was wheeling off, right?
Here he comes. There he goes. So Marcel, nice bike, it's beautiful, and your name is Neo. Why Neo?
That's right, Neo. Everyone is familiar with, we name bikes. In fact, we're the only race team that does this. Everyone's like, what's your A bike? I'm like, huh? It's like, we don't have an A bike. All the bikes should be A bikes. And we had Arnold, my 2012. We had Franz, the 2013, that from the Mechanic. And we had the 2013 street bike named Hans. All German names, German bikes, right? You know, and then we have names for the trailer and the truck too. And And so the reason I have this bike right now is one awesome fan who wants to be anonymous gave me all the money to buy the bike. So like,
wow,
incredible. I know, like,
very
you know,
nice.
it's something, it's really amazing, and you know, we definitely needed a new bike to be competitive. I'm tired of top 10 results of Moto America. We want to be top 4, top 5, you know, podium, whatever. And so we were always a little down on power compared to the new bikes, the Ducatis, the R1s, etc. And we never had any traction control, so now we're going to get the race ECU on this thing. It's kind of like you just reflash the ECU to unlock it. And so the potential is now better traction control, better handling frame, a little more power. You know, it's going to be a little lighter weight. Just awesome. And the Neo, the name for this bike, which could be German maybe, is simply, you know, from the Matrix, right? And he's like, can you name it Morpheus or Neo for me? And I'm like, hell yeah, sure. So we decided on Neo, and that's it. And
Awesome
welcome.
name.
Say hello to Neo.
Hello, Neo. So brand new out of the box. Feels awesome. You haven't really done much for mods so far.
This was actually the display bike that was in the BMW Canada headquarters in the East. So it was out of the box for a while already, but then went in a box again and came to Kelowna, and yeah, right now, you know, we probably got 100 and some kilometers on it. So, I mean, I broke it in yesterday. It's got 173K. So it's well broken in when I ride it. I had the limiter. You know, most people have like it limited to 8,000 RPM, the break-in mode they come with. I had that removed instantly because I want to break it in the way I ride it, the way I'm going to race it. It's kind of like a hard break-in versus the typical street break-in. It actually never breaks it in when those guys just ride around like rap, 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 rap. Because as an example, we bought Franz used, the 2013, the Mechanic bought, and it had 2,000 miles on it. So yeah, it should be broken in, right? Well, I go and ride it, the thing makes some power, and then I ride it for 15 minutes and then it makes 10 more horsepower because I actually broke it in. And so to break a bike in my way, or the racer way, is brand new engine, you know, warm it up, let it heat soak, turn it off, let it evenly distribute the temperatures, like 10 minutes kind of sitting, 15, then start up again and ride. And never sit at an RPM, always like, woo, accel, decel, accel, decel, accel, decel. And now you're bringing the RPMs higher. Now I'm at 10,000, 12, 13, da, da, and then just ride. And you know, I wasn't concentrating too much on like the highway, like up and down. It's more like ride off. And then if you're in a taller gear, like fourth or whatever, then it's like, it's a long decel and then a lot longer accel, so which could be good. This reminds me an important point that I never brought up. This bike has very different characteristics for engine braking. It has way less engine braking than the previous model. So, you know, decel, it slows you down. The engine braking, you know, it helps me steer corners and stuff. But at the same time, it also can make things worse or better, depends on the scenario on the racetrack. So I use engine braking on the racetrack to help steer into the corner, to find that guide. You engine braking, knee down, and then on throttle, slowly transition out of the corner. Race bikes, my competitors have always had adjustable engine control, and which we might have with the race ECU once we unflash it, I'm not positive. But so this bike has way less, there's just like the engine braking feels like a two-stroke, it really doesn't slow you down. So it's a little different, it might be better, I don't know, we'll see. And once I can adjust it, like more engine braking in say second gear or third might be better than fourth or fifth, and if you can adjust those individually.
How do you feel about the pit limiter?
So yeah, we gave that a try, and it's pretty simple. Again, while you're moving, all you do is in first gear, you press and hold the starter button, and obviously it doesn't turn your starter, so like your car, you know. And what it does is then it'll go in the screen, it'll say pit limiter active, and then you slow down to below the pit limit speed essentially, and you hold the button in, and then the bike will go ding 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 at exactly what you set it at RPM wise. So I set it at like 7,000 RPM, and if you're on the gas while holding the button in, you know, up to 7, it'll go ding 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 ding, and then below. And then as soon as I let go of the button, well, then the bike launches, and then I start doing wheelies in the video, right? So what you do is you have to find your speed for the racetrack, the rules, and then set it to an RPM and try to figure out to make sure you're not going over that speed. So you just gotta take some time to set it appropriately.
So Marcel, you're just talking about how gorgeous your bike was, and let's talk about that exhaust because it sure sounds nice.
Yeah, the stock exhaust on the 15, it looks pretty good. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now, and you know, it doesn't look crazy bad like normal stock exhaust. I think it's better than the stock exhaust from the 14 that was all below and really heavy. This one's obviously lighter, and anyone who has a street bike, like you can, if you buy this bike, you certainly don't have to do anything to the bike. You just get it stock. I mean, I'm running the stock suspension. I'm not running DDC electronic suspension like the HP4 that has been carried over and improved. You know, obviously that would be for another review to compare that suspension, but like, I don't need to put an exhaust on. I mean, it's got tons of power. You know, the brakes work awesome for any street rider. The only thing that needs changing is like the pads. I'd put some EBC Extreme Pros, the GPFAX in there. Or even the EP brake pads from EBC as well. I mean, yeah, it's just a great package. It does everything you need. You don't need to add any money to it. You know, unless you're like a racer like me and then I want more power for racing and better handling and lighter weight. But it does the job. I mean, it's really a perfect bike. I mean, I rode your Daytona, and it's funny that the BMW feels like it handles like the Daytona in terms of corner. It's obviously a lot heavier, but it doesn't feel it. It feels like it probably handles better than your Daytona.
I'm sure it does.
I don't know what kind of pressure you're running your tires and stuff, but the brakes are obviously really good in the BMW, and then I rode your bike. Yeah, your brakes aren't so good. I mean, it's got Nissan calipers and maybe a Nissan Master on the Daytona 675, but they honestly weren't working very well. I couldn't bring the rear off the ground with one finger. I had to use like 2 and squeeze real hard.
Well, I'm glad you brought my bike back in one piece. That's good.
Yeah.
And you.
So, I mean, it just shows you the advancement of this BMW. Like, it feels like a 600, feels like the Daytona in handling. It's got massive amounts of torque and horsepower. It's got awesome brakes. Your bike, do you have a steering stabilizer in yours?
I do not.
Yeah, I noticed that right off the bat. As soon as the first bump, you know, you're like, oh, she doesn't have a steering stabilizer, or it's super loose. And so the stock one on this bike is actually pretty good. I have it turned all the way up, and that's actually how they gave me the bike from the dealer. And because I checked it later and like, oh, it's all the way, but it's been really good. I mean, I could certainly do with the stock one in most scenarios until you're really a pro racer, and then you get your Öhlins or your Bitubo or whatever, or GPR stabilizer, and improve it even more because it makes it even stiffer.
So let's recap for you putting your bike back on the track for the first time. Mm-hmm. You've got it all stock right now. What are you planning on changing? So there's exhaust, there's brakes. What are you going to change?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll go through my list. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just ordered some clip-ons from Woodcraft. So obviously you change the handlebars so you can break the bar and don't have to drop the forks. And then rear sets, Woodcraft doesn't have any made yet, so I'm looking at Attack, which is really my favorite for rear sets. You know, but they're expensive, and so you get some Attack rear sets, and then I get some GB Racing. They're sending me case covers for the bike, and frame sliders, and like rear spools. So you get some engine protection. Of course, armor bodies, you get your armor bodies on. And so Armor Bodies is working on their 2015 model, but the 2014 or lower armor bodies will fit. It just might not fit perfectly with the Superbike tail, and because they changed the design of that trim piece. And then of course, you know, I get an exhaust on there. I'm just dealing with sponsors right now, trying to figure out which direction to go. And, whoa, shit! Whoa! Whoa, shit!
Brakes?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just rock those same calipers, and I'll put my EBC Pro Extreme Pro brake pads. The GP FAX is the ones I use for racing. And
Tires?
Tires, you know, we put Dunlop race slicks on it, of course. That's just obvious. And BMW is sending me the HP wheels, so I'll be swapping these wheels and selling these wheels pretty soon, and just have, because I'm not going to use these ones. The HP is much lighter, and the bike will handle even better with the HP stuff. And then I get my radiator guards, because, you know, you got to be worried about rocks on the street as well. Like Radguard Australia are my favorite, and they cover the oil cooler and the radiator, nice aluminum protection. And some stickers, of course. And oh yeah, you know, Power Commander is one way to tune it. I would also like to get the Race Calibration Kit 3 from BMW. It's going to cost a little bit of money. And then I can adjust the parameters of traction control and ABS and the fuel injection, ignition, all that stuff. So then I might not need a Power Commander if I get the Race ECU flash and the cable software, the Kit 3 it's called. So that takes care of the traction control, and then I'll finally have quality traction control on the track, which I've never had before. Maybe, you know, a subframe's fine, really, and I'll put a fairing stay on to get rid of the weight on the front. That's like the part that holds your dash together and the front bodywork. Put on like a Yoyodyne fairing stay. And then the suspension, I take these forks off, and I'll grab the forks from my other bike and throw them on with the GP cartridges. And the rear shock, you know, throw the Penske on the rear and good to go. That's it. You got a race bike.
Right on.
Yeah.